Since the dawn of time, man has liked cute moe kyun girls. And even according to great poets like Sappho, not even woman could be left out of this equation. The need for moe girls was strong, and for better or for worse, Japan was on the job. But one could say they overachieved. With the release of Moege after Moege, people needed a way to determine the good from the great, the kawaii from the cute, the fat material from the all ages. And so, one man took it upon himself to read many Moege. The toll this had on his mind was great, and some say, due to his brave sacrifice, he'd never come to know real love again. His name was Bruce. That's me. You're probably wondering how I got into this situation. Well, it all started when I read Wagamama High Spec a few months ago. Wagamama High Spec is a Moege visual novel developed by Madosoft revolving around Narumi Koki, a high school student who draws a manga serialized in a weekly magazine. And of course it's ecchi, so he keeps it a secret. With his pen name being Potato Salad, only his neat sister Toa and her best friend Mihiro know about it. But if I had a dime for every time an anime character has a secret identity and does something clumsy to reveal it, I'd be living it up in Hawaii right now. While rushing to class, after an afternoon nap, Koki bumps into a random student, unknowingly dropping this week's manuscript for his manga. Karuko, the third-year student council president, picks it up and returns it, but not until looking inside and realizing the owner is Potato Salad, a mangaka she follows as, surprise, surprise, she's a massive otaku. Koki gets called to the student council room, but not before a run-in with the student council vice president Ashe, who, due to unfortunate circumstances, is seen in her underwear by Koki, leading Ashe to hate his guts. Eventually meeting up with Karuko, Koki agrees to join the student council in exchange for her to keep his secret, much to Ashe's dismay. The opening plays and we're off to the races. Now that's the story we ended up with, but let's take a look at this exclusive footage from when this visual novel was pitched in the boardroom. I got this new VN plot. Basically, there's this high school heroine, and she's got huge boobs. I mean some serious honkers. A real set of badonkers. Packing some Doban honkeros. Massive Dahunka Bankaloos. Big ol' Tonghonga Rakugers. Every other heroine has even bigger Bonkhonga Gahoogs. Humongous Hungalunga Nono Lughongas. Seriously, someone needs to explain boobonomics to me, because this titflation is insane. Scaling the Twin Peaks is nice, but sometimes I want a leisurely stroll through the flat plains, man. But fuck me, it's even plot relevant. I think that summarizes what you're signing up to when you buy Wagamama High Spec, but does it go to heights that no Moege has gone to before? The answer is actually complicated because the routes vary in quality and satisfaction in a frustrating way that compelled me to make this video to begin with. So let's waste no time dilly-dallying and move to the heroines. Narumi Toa is Koki's blood-related sister. She is a gamer, neat, and is often very cold towards Koki despite the fact she appreciates him. Though eventually Koki gets her to join the student council with him, she hates putting work into anything she doesn't care about. Miyase Mihiro is Koki's assertive kohai that has been friends with Toa for ages, and as such is the childhood friend character. She is a fan of cooking and baking, so unsurprisingly, her family runs a diner right beside the Narumi household, with Koki sometimes coming around to help in the kitchen. She was initially scouted by the student council due to her amazing grades, but this happened to be a fluke. She is also severely loved by animals to the point where they smother her in attention. Rokuonji Karuko is the Otaku Student Council president who ends up roping Koki into the student council. While respected by Ashe, She is very silly and certainly an airhead. When it comes out that Koki is potato salad, another shocking revelation occurs. Kaoruko is actually the illustrator for Koki's manga that he hadn't had the chance to meet until now. Sakuragi Ashe is the competitive and passionate student council vice president whose goal is to be a composer one day, following her world-famous pianist mother into the music industry. She can be serious to the point of silliness and is not so secretly a glutton for all types of food. She is not initially a fan of Koki's manga, but has mixed feelings since Kaoruko is involved in it. The side characters are actually quite enjoyable in Wagamama High Spec. You've got Masato, Koki's friend who is popular with the ladies, but only likes bigger women. Is this a trope or something? I've seen this exact personality a couple times now, and it feels like a sort of commentary on Ikemen or something. There's also Saru, who is the moronic and troublesome leader of the boys club. This guy is pretty funny, as is expected, a Sato Kazuma's voice actor. It's time for everyone's favorite. Is it a trap? They're cute, timid, and a lover of sweets. But under where you might be looking is a sausage of meat. It's a guy. There are other side characters, and in general I'd say they are above average for a moege. But let's get back to the main characters and their routes. At the beginning of the plot, I was nervous because it was reminding me of Edo Manga Sensei, quite possibly the worst anime series to exist. Thankfully, it's different enough that the similarities end at being about a protagonist who is a writer working with their artist they coincidentally meet. The common route is pretty much as standard as you can get, even despite the fact Koki focuses on his manga throughout. Hanging out at the local pool, cleaning the school pool, school festival with a maid cafe, the whole shebang. You'll know which route you are on by who you hang out with at the school festival, which is the end of the common route. Once the routes begin though, things begin to change for the better and for the worse. The most interesting aspect of the manga part of the plot is that it usually has something to do with the route, such as Koki using it to communicate with Ashe, bond with Kaoruko, or hang out with Toa, and it usually is involved in the main conflict of each route. Toa's route begins with Koki's editor asking him to make an entire volume of his manga that focuses on the little sister character. So they decide to become a fake couple in order to achieve a closer brother-sister bond. The classic trope of becoming fake lovers for reason X and then eventually becoming real lovers rears its head. Although the fake couple bit immediately fails due to Toa's lack of emoto cuteness, the end result is the same. The manga has the most serious implications on the story here, which detracts from the focus on Toa. Honestly, I wasn't particularly impressed with this route, nor really Toa's character overall. She's pretty much just like Asane from Nukitashi, but worse, and the route's conflict felt it would have worked better as the main conflict of the common route. Kaoruko's route feels like it's supposed to be the main route of the game, but it's probably the most mediocre. One of the best parts of this route is when Kaoruko and Koki act out the trope of tsundere starts a fight with protagonist and they slowly fall in love, because not only do they do it in front of the tsundere Ashe, but that's also pretty much the first part of Ashe's route in a nutshell. This route is pretty much exactly what I was expecting in a moege with a mangaka protagonist. Mihiru's route is Gap Moe the route, but frankly I hate this route with a passion. Mihiru is an assertive flirt for the entire common route, but when push comes to shove, she doesn't follow through. Which is a shame because I like that part of her character and was actually excited for her route. Things go back to normal after the relationship starts, but that sort of defeats the point. Beyond that, this route has a predictable conflict and ending, and is easily my least favorite. So thank God I did Ashe's route last. Ashe's route has a great character development, and quite an interesting conflict and conclusion compared to every other route. This route is also Gap Moe the route, but unlike Mihiru, that's exactly what I expect from a tsundere, so I had no room to be disappointed. And if anything, only became more impressed as the route went on, given the conflict Ashe goes through and the developments that occur. Wagamama High Spec was hovering a 5.5 rating for me, but Ashe's route brought it all the way up to a 7. My overall thoughts on Wagamama High Spec is that its routes are decent but flounder one way or the other in quality, which makes broadly recommending it difficult, considering people might have a favorite character coming out of the common route just to be disappointed in their preferred heroine's route, depending on who that is, like I was. Because for the first time in a long time, the childhood friend character actually ended up being my favorite character coming out of the common route. If you like series that focus on author protagonists in general, this might appeal to you, as Koki's manga career gets different amounts of focus depending on the route. Wagamama High Spec is more so carried by its characters, so if they don't sound interesting to you, I'd think twice before buying it. Wagamama High Spec is a very nice looking visual novel. In many cases, most of what Moege has going for it is its art, and this one looks clean. The heroine designs aren't particularly inspiring though, and can be summarized as bow, mostly random hair and eye color, and hungalunga no luhangas. The flat fanatics are losing this one, boys. The fact that lollies are the only flat visual novel heroines you ever see regularly is both, in a figurative and literal sense, criminal. This is my first Matosoft visual novel, but like Ubisoft, the sprites change between sentences or particularly strong expressions, and that sort of thing is always appreciated. Of course, the backgrounds and CGs look very well too, so you do not have to worry about the art aspect of this visual novel. Most of the H scenes in Wagamama High Spec are vanilla, but you get some variety, and I believe 3 or 4 per route, with bonus ones being available after finishing each route. In Toa's, she steps on you.
And the game of the year is...
Wagamama High Spec.
But where there is an anime adaptation, I will be there to tell you it's trash. But in this case it's not, because it's not an anime adaptation at all. Rather, it's just a bunch of 2-minute comedy sketches with the heroines. Honestly, while I wouldn't call this great, I find this miles better than if they just made a shoddy visual novel adaptation. It may confuse the anime watchers, but all the episodes combined are only about 20 minutes of content, and it's a nice extra for those who read the visual novel. The funniest part about this anime is that at the start of every episode, it shows a whiteboard, which gives a reason why Koki isn't at the student council today, and in the final episode, as the doors open and you think it's finally about to reveal him, it just ends. Very cheeky and on the nose, but you gotta respect the hustle. I found Wagamama High Spec to be an above average moege, but not consistent in the slightest. It's certainly nice to look at, but its plot at times is weak and predictable. And realistically, that shouldn't be surprising. If the characters sound interesting to you, it might be worth a shot, and I found it better than most moege I've read recently. But I'm not a moege fanatic in the first place, and if you aren't either, it might be a good idea to just pick another visual novel that has a more interesting plot. And that's how I ended up here today. This was more than a review. It was a story, all about how my life got turned upside down. But I'm glad you took a minute just to sit right there while you listened to how I lived through my Moege scare.